Hello, my name is Tahila. I am a failed rapper, and this is the Learn to Let Go podcast, usually with my beautiful, wonderful host, Kathy Nguyen. But today we have a different guest because Kathy sadly couldn't be here, and my heart, it just breaks. It's crushed by this information. I wish she could have been here because my life is just so empty without her. But we're going on because this is the Learn to Let Go podcast, and we need to let go of those feelings. Let go. It's fine. You'll be okay. Taylor will be fine. We should make that a shirt. Today we have our special guest, Xander. They live in Malaysia, and they are a podcaster. They are they were a communications major in university, and they're a graduate student. They work at a media company, and today they found time to be on this humble podcast. Xander, could you talk to the people? Tell them your story, Xander. Tell them who you be.
That's the best introduction I've ever heard of myself ever. Like I'm cracking up on my end, but I'm trying so hard not to laugh. but
I'm telling
yeah,
you.
thank you so much for having me. Hello everyone. I am Xander, and yes, I do study communications, and I'm also a podcaster, so this is so exciting to collaborate with another podcast. And so far from the episodes I've listened to, I think Learn to Let Go is a very interesting concept for me, and I really like the title because it's so broad and it's interesting because I feel like you never know what's gonna come next. So yeah.
Yes, me too. Mm.
Mm,
So like I know you've been podcasting longer than me. I was one of
mm,
the podcasts, but I don't know. I feel like I was doing so much. I just never had
mm.
the time to be a podcaster. But as a veteran, would you call yourself a veteran?
Yeah, we can use that term very loosely.
As a veteran in the podcast game, the podcast space, how's that been for you?
It's been interesting because with my new podcast that I started this year called
Mm,
the Let's Debunk It podcast, I feel that if you listen to my audio now and my audio
mm,
from before, you can definitely tell there was some growth, there was some development of ideas, there's more maturity. Because when I started my first podcast called The Misadventures of the Young Adult, it was basically in tune with my own personal interests, my own knowledge, and
mm,
yes, I would have guest episodes for like creatives because I did want to collaborate in that capacity. But I also realized that if I really wanted to endure the podcast game, if I wanted to run it like a marathon and not a sprint, I had to consider the kind of topics I was going to do. I had to consider the kind of audience that I wanted to attract. And I was also just kind of looking at what interests me, where do I see the gap, and where can I fill that gap. So with my current podcast, I feel like that is now me putting in 5-10 times the work in order to get a really good podcast. And so far it's been out since the 6th of January. Now it's what, February 13th,
mm,
and I've gotten, my audience has grown like double what I had before. Because usually you get unique
mm.
listeners, you get people listening from around the world. And with the Misadventures, there was initial hype, then it died down. But with this one, the caliber that I've been receiving, I'm like, wow. So this is what happens when you sit down to write a script, to do research, to it. Because before,
Mm,
I'll be very honest with all your listeners. I used to record some episodes the night before. I wouldn't edit
mm,
it. I would just publish. I swear to God. But now I have to like do research months in advance, write a script, record
mm,
the script, then I have to do all the cuts and edits. And because I care about the deaf community, I've also started doing transcripts. So
mm.
that in itself takes you about 2 months to do if you want it to be really, really good and to really come from the heart and from a point of like you're basically sharing a part of yourself with other people, you're sharing your understanding, and you need to be very deliberate about that. So learning that discipline has been the best part of podcasting, because now I feel like I'm so much smarter than so many people because I'm researching topics that people want to learn about but don't have the time to sit down and start doing the research.
Bro, bro. I've learned that most podcasts, not most podcasts, I would say most media companies or most media places, they
Mm.
don't research whatever they're talking about. Like I
Right.
learned that the hard way when like dealing with certain individuals and dealing with their like media, because I'm sure I'm sure like you've been aware of me before I became the fake influencer I have become. That like I've been around entertainment a long time and been around news and information a long time, and like when you get into depth, you realize that nobody actually knows what they're talking about. Everyone is kind of coming
Exactly.
up with stuff on the fly. And I don't know, for some reason that offends me because like I'm sure like you've been to places where like it's like people are not looking for like quality journalism. It's like they're looking for the best titles. I feel like that's what's become.
Exactly. There's this one person I follow, and I feel like he's very interesting because he made this statement saying podcasters, especially those who have like two hosts or more, they say a lot of nothing. They just, so for example, let's say
Mhm.
we're talking about why let's say cheese does not belong on burgers. So this would be me starting my whole conversation to be like, this is an issue that I feel has always been juxtaposed with this other thing that is so important, and it has come this time for me to share my ideas, my development of thoughts to as to why this is just something that needs to be discussed. I just said a whole lot of nothing for like what, 20 seconds? Like, and that's how a lot of things have been flowing. It's just like you have all these big fancy terms, but you're just saying a whole lot of nothing.
Hey, bro, that's how I got through high school English. A whole lot of nothing. That's how I got through it. It works for me.
Honestly, honestly,
Huh?
English lit, that's the only way to pass. You just have to beat about the bush, add in some fancy terms that you don't
Be v-
understand.
be very vague about the themes. Don't ever be specific,
I swear to God, that's it. That's it. They
dude.
conditioned us to be like this.
Dude, I do that in the Hamlet papers. I have no idea what that text is about,
Right,
bro.
right. A
Bro, I feel like,
midsummer, a midsummer's night dream by Shakespeare.
yeah,
I don't even know what the storyline is. I
bro.
swear.
I think the problem with that stuff is that the way it's written, it was written like a long time ago, right?
Mm,
So like even us trying to go back to that old English and trying to wrap our heads around it, it still won't make sense to what they were trying to say, right? Like
mhm.
I'm sure you've noticed this like with older texts, even like with texts from the 1950s, we don't understand what they were talking about. Yeah, and I think that's the problem with old literature and old stuff. It's because like language transforms over time and
Mm,
things tend to like to lose like their initial meaning.
that's true.
Yeah, I think that that's one of my issues with religion is that it was written like most religions were. I don't know how old the Earth is. I assume it's over a billion years old.
Hmm.
However old the Earth is. So we're looking at this religious text that was written maybe before toilet paper was invented, right? I'm
How is
just
that
saying,
your measure? How is that your measure? You couldn't say
bro,
before roads, before toilets. Nah, G, it's
bro,
toilet fucking paper.
toilet paper is a great invention. I don't know. Imagine your life without toilet paper. Just think about it,
Wash your ass. Wash it.
bro. There were no
Wash
bidets.
it.
There were no bidets back then, bro. Back then, you do your thing, you just keep walking. There were no bidets. So this religious text was written before toilet paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's taking every piece of it literally.
Mm.
And that's my problem. These things are not meant to be taken literally. It's like if you take Shakespeare literally, we don't take Shakespeare literally. We don't take Christopher Wilde literally. We
Mm.
look at what they were trying to say in the subtext.
That's true.
That is the
I was having this discussion with a friend some nights ago, and
Mhm.
we were just discussing like our religious views and whatnot, and like our concept of religion, because I'm actually
Mhm.
currently researching that as a topic and just trying to understand and wrap my head around it. And something
Mhm.
that's so interesting is how our language is so limiting. So some words that you might find in the Chinese language, in Japanese, in the
Mhm.
old Hebrew, in Aramaic, and all those languages, you will never find the exact meaning. And so
Mhm.
everything that we read from the past, everything that's been translated, we always have to take with a grain of salt, because what they were trying to say may not exactly be the way that we've translated it.
Yeah,
And
it's been lost.
yeah, so it's lost in its own translation. And in some cases it's caused extremely big problems in some communities. But
Mhm.
people don't want to have that discussion because especially with, I feel, with religion it's especially more touchy, because people do believe that the text that they're reading is sacred, it's from the higher power that they believe in. So it's really each to their own.
Yeah, people don't want to do work. That's what I've realized. That people
Mhm.
don't want to take their actual brain capacity and think about what they're talking about. Like
Exactly.
even me and my cousin have this issue. My cousin, we call him the bishop. We call him the bishop because he's had the dream of being a bishop ever since he what do they call it? Ever since he no, not me say ever since he came to repentance. He said the dream of being the bishop.
A
So I
Catholic
was
bishop?
nah, just like a charismatic bishop. Like it,
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't want to mention that denomination because I feel like when you start mentioning the denominations, people become more
Hmm.
they become weird about it. The denomination war. No one has actually ever talked about that Christianity is like a bunch of different religions. Like people on the outside think Christianity is the same thing. When you
Oh.
actually go into Christianity, it's like different religions,
Oh.
bro.
Yeah.
Even with my mom, bro. Me and my
Mm,
mom, we don't agree, so we don't talk about it.
honestly,
Yeah.
same thing, same thing. And I find it very interesting. I've always found Christianity interesting in that sense, as to how everyone practices it so differently, and yet, like, let's say the fundamentals that as they say, is the same.
Mhm.
But
That depends. It
and they
depends, man.
and they also use different versions of the Bible. So each to
Bro.
their own. Each to their own.
I feel like those versions, I feel like the way people came up with them was like, you know what? I don't agree with this translation. I want it to suit more what I'm saying. And I think the Bible that's most guilty of this is the Jehovah's Witness Bible, where they deliberately where they deliberately change things. Because like the other Bibles, you kind of get it. Okay.
Mm,
Maybe they didn't understand the context of the these and thous. Maybe we can say that. I can say
mm,
with ESV, maybe they don't understand. With
mm,
NIV, I can say maybe they're just being reckless because I think NIV is the most reckless one. But
mm,
with
mm.
Jehovah's Witness, I'm like, no, you people just changed the meaning. You people weren't even trying to be accurate. Duh.
Yeah, the Bible
Huh?
is east. They went west because
They weren't even trying to be
I.
accurate, bro.
But
It's
what?
like it's like they changed the Bible to fit their narrative. That's not how I feel about it. And I have Jehovah's Witness friends. I love all of you. I mean, yeah, I love all of you. I just believe your religion is silly.
So true. And I find it so interesting how media kind of mirrors that in a way. And I feel like from the
Mhm.
get go, when things are being translated, I think we should have seen this coming with modern day media. To
You
be
should have
very
seen this
honest,
coming.
we should have seen this coming, because people
Mhm,
don't run; they sprint. They sprint. They're running a marathon
mhm.
in the wrong direction. So the reason media is so bad right now, we can start
Mhm.
blaming the people who started trying to translate stuff from the get go, and like, oh my gosh, let's see what these people were trying to say. Like, trying to translate Shakespeare. I wouldn't be
Mhm.
surprised if they got half of the stuff he said wrong.
I think like the most like the because I'm technically a weeb because I recently became a weeb. When I became 19, I became a weeb because of the
Hmm.
people I'm around. For those who don't know, weeb culture is like people who are like deeply into anime. Some people interpret it as people who want to be Japanese. I don't want to be Japanese. I appreciate their culture, but that's another conversation,
Oh,
which you would know about. But
oh
but
yes.
but I I was it's like the conversation about like some subs, right? So if you
Hmm.
watch anime legally, because as you know, most animes drop weekly in Japan before they get an official dub or an official um what they call the translation, an official sub.
Yeah, sub and dub.
Yeah, before they get the official thing. So what you find is that I was watching Seven Deadly Sins
Mm.
in less legal ways, and dude, the sub didn't make any sense. And I could tell like what they did is that they got the episode, they went directly on Google Translate, copied the whole thing, and pasted it on the episode. And you
Wow.
can tell like that's a whole the so like the whole context of the episode I just watched, I don't understand it. So that's just how misinformation works. It comes from overexcitement because I'm sure people in the West want anime now, and I'm sure we all just wish we knew Japanese so we can just enjoy
Mm,
anime, and so we just enjoy that culture.
mm,
So I think it comes from a part of it comes from the internet. I feel like the internet was made
mm-hmm,
for people to share information, and
mm-hmm.
we're really eager to share information. I don't think that's a bad thing. I
True.
just think we're too eager to do it at that moment. So we get information that's incorrect. It's the same thing I feel about like news channels, right? They
Mm,
so what you find is that they don't research stories.
exactly.
CNN, I'm looking at y'all. Y'all do this a lot. They see as it reminds me of Juicy Smollier. They
Mm.
got that story at face value. No research
I,
at all. I
I, you
just
know,
reported. It's because I don't know. And here's the thing: maybe it's noble what they were trying to do. They were trying to be like, nah, these see these Americans just hate gay black people, white
mm-hmm,
people, racist white person for some reason watches Empire, but
mm,
I would know who Justice Smollett is.
mm-hmm.
So like you see, like people or don't even want to do research. They want to believe things at face value, and the news is trying to do this thing where they're trying to push their agenda instead of pushing unbiased news. Because I believe the news shouldn't be biased. I think op-eds can be biased, not the news.
Well, this reminds me of a discussion that I had in class earlier this week or last
Mhm.
week because I'm taking a class on media publishing. And
Yeah.
the one thing that I feel a lot of people forget about the news is that it's a business.
Mm.
They don't, so to some extent they want to report what is true, but at the same time they need those views, they need those clicks, they need the viewers, they need to sensationalize to some extent so people would be interested in their stories. And even if they get the story first, they don't even want to report it correctly because they just want people's reaction, because there are two things that people react to very quickly: rage and disgust. Those are the two things that will sell you anything. If people are outraged, they're gonna click, they're gonna tweet, they're gonna do whatever they want. If people are disgusted, they're going to express that disgust. They're gonna dive right in. You know, and it's so weird that we've been so accustomed to this culture of just being so disgusted and so rageful about these things. And I'm thinking, like, do you guys ever just take the time to pause, sit down, get the facts, and then have disgust and rage? Because, for example, I don't know, have you
Mhm.
been following Gorilla Grip Glue Girl?
Oh, I have, dude. That story has devolved into something else.
So people,
Uh-huh.
so at first it came out as a joke from TikTok. All of us were laughing, ha ha ha. You used a glue to lay your edges. I mean, I don't blame her. Sis's edges were stuck for a month. Ooh.
Bruh, I'm a black woman. I don't understand the struggle, but I don't understand the struggle.
I,
Hmm.
so then after a while, I was just watching the rhetoric that was going around on Twitter, and it was so interesting how I saw this pocket of people who were genuinely caring, donating to her GoFundMe and saying, "Yeah, go get the help that you need, go do this, ABCD, whatever." And there was a time where she turned down one doctor
Hmm.
to help her get her hair done because the procedure would have taken 20 hours, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, that's as far as my knowledge is. I don't know whether she's gonna lose her hair or keep her hair. I don't know that information, but from what I saw was that it was gonna be a 20-hour procedure, and she didn't want to do that. And people got upset at her and saying, "Oh, she's just a clout chaser. She just wanted our money. She just wanted she just wanted us to, feel sorry for her. Her intention was to make money. She didn't want to actually get her hair fixed. This was all planned. This was all staged. And then come yesterday, or was it the day before, she
Mhm.
actually went to a doctor and they actually salvaged her hair, and she actually spent, I think she spent the money on the actual surgery or whatever procedure that she did to get her hair back. And I was just
Mhm.
thinking, people were so upset when she didn't see Dr. A. They didn't even know if she went to go see a Dr. B or a Dr. C or a Dr. D. They were just
Mhm.
upset and they ran with it. And I was like, guys, you don't get second opinions on medicals? What world are we living in? You guys get mad at the littlest things. My
Mhm.
goodness. The sensitivity is appalling to me. I mean, yes, I would question why she didn't want to get the procedure, but I'm not gonna say, "Oh, you're doing it for clout." Second opinions matter. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, especially if you're in the medical field. So I
Bro,
don't know. I don't know. I mean,
bro,
each to their
Learned.
own.
I've learned. I think it comes from. I think everyone. I think right now we just live in a very tense time, a very tense political time.
Mm,
Everyone's tensed up. Everyone's mad at each other. So everyone wants to be mad at something every single.
mm,
Everyone wants a. Everyone wants someone to blame. Everyone
mm,
wants to blame. So I think that's the issue with how news media is portrayed. People jump on the most sensationalized stories. But I want to piggyback off this thing you said about sensationalizing the news.
mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've noticed nobody watches the news despite them becoming sensational. So I don't think it's working. The whole entertain I don't think people watch the news to be entertained.
Mm, mm.
Except people who watch Fox News. I think Fox News is
Oh, comedy,
hilarious, right?
comedy.
Bro, I don't care what anybody says. I am a fan of Fox News. I own a Fox News hat. I am a fan because the way Fox News will find a way to make a story fit whatever narrative they're trying to spread. I think it's talent. I think it's
Honestly,
genuine talent. Mhm.
Fox doesn't care about your feelings or the facts.
Fox doesn't care. Bro, that's like Ben Shapiro stuff. Yo, Fox doesn't care about your feelings.
uh, but
Bro.
yeah, this because I think this was the because in this discussion that I had with my teacher, and when we brought this whole topic up, is because of things going viral. That's one of
Mm,
the things. It's
mm,
usually the things that go viral. Like it's usually it's maybe it's something very cute, like a dog or whatever, or a cat, like
mm,
an animal, or someone doing an act of kindness or whatever. Or it's something really funny because like that's what Vine thrived off. Short videos that were funny, that were witty, that were quick, and then like we now even see TikToks. You're just seeing like 1 minute of someone creating some kind of content, and is it funny, is it informative, is it good, whatever. So we're now living in this world where people don't want to take the time to go through and read and understand and explore. They want things basically instantly. And if
mm.
it's taking too long, then yeah, they don't care. So it's the same with the way people make headlines, the way they try to say things. They want to capture your attention and get you to read whatever they're sharing with you. And that's why a lot of news outlets have Twitter accounts now.
Bro, the Twitter accounts have personalities. I think that's even the worst part.
Exactly. Like sometimes I enjoy those threads where you see Wendy's and McDonald's fighting. I live for those. Those are
Bro.
the best threads ever. But then it's smart because what are they doing? People are gonna start getting interested and invested in these things, and you just and every time. And then the thing is, it'll create and plant a seed in their mind. And sometimes they'll think, "What do I want to eat?" They'll think back to McDonald's. They'll think back to Wendy's because why? They were fighting on Twitter. It's all a strategy. And it's just that for a lot of people, they're so oblivious to these kind of marketing techniques. In fact, where I'm working currently, they have a Twitter account and they're
Mm.
trying to grow their Twitter following. And I said, you know what you need to do? Start fighting people on Twitter. People will follow you. That's it. Cause
Bro,
controversy, apologize, do your fake apology, go on there, create fake tears, do whatever you want. And that's basically how some people grow. They grow on controversy. People don't care about authenticity or honesty as much as they used to, or maybe they do, they're just too impatient to get there.
bro, I call that the Kanye West method. The Kanye
Please not Kanye.
That's the Kanye West method. Just say something and never apologize for it. And never reference it again when people ask you about it. Yeah, I think it helps certain
Mm,
brands, but I think the news should have a level of integrity where they care about what they're saying, because what you're saying could ruin someone's life. So I think there's a way of addressing things that doesn't destroy people's lives. It's not harmful. Because
mm,
even with the glue girl, right?
mm,
There's a way of reporting about her that will not affect their personal life. I've seen people use things like she's a bad representation of black women, or just like rhetoric like that.
mm,
Rhetoric like that personally hurts her brand.
mm.
It hurts because like maybe she might want to work with BET or Revolt, right? And
Yeah.
these companies are black owned companies, and they see like, oh, the black community says that you're a bad example of black women. Even though we like you, we can't have you here because it will make us look a certain way. So
Mm,
I think there's a way of reporting that just like
mm,
considerate of what you're reporting on, because I wouldn't jump on certain trends even when I'm on this podcast, because sometimes we bring
mm,
up current events, we bring up what's currently going on in pop culture, we bring up what's going on in politics, but I wouldn't talk about it in a way that would personally hurt someone's brand, right? Like I may not like Donald Trump, right?
mm,
But I will not sit here for 30 minutes and tell you why I think he's good or bad,
mm.
because th- I have no reason to destroy a man I do not know.
That's true. And you know what's very interesting about this conversation? And
Yeah.
I really don't want to make this thing about race, but there's
Hmm.
definitely a trend that so there's one YouTuber I watch. Her name is T Noir, and she
Yeah.
just, discusses things that she's like a commentary channel, so to say, and she
Mm.
just discusses different things. And she said this thing about how black owned media likes to tear the community apart,
Hmm.
and then you see white owned media and how they try to uplift each other. So
We're
like
so jealous. Uh
like
huh.
not uplift, but then the way they report about, like white people reporting on white people is so different from black people reporting on black people, because it's almost like, unfortunately so, and I think this is true to some extent, is that with black people I feel sometimes, maybe not me, because I personally am not very interested in gossip. I'm not really interested in, the lives of other celebrities, because I feel it's kind of creepy, because it's like, oh my gosh, what is so and so doing? I'm like, I have my own life to try and not burn down to the ground. Thank you very much. So,
Hmm.
so I don't know if I should mention them because they've got quite a large following, but those Instagram pages that like to report on things, and
Oh, oh,
and then people kind of thrive on their negativity and whatnot.
the black ones.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I know the one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
there's the main one that
Uh huh.
is absolute, like it's like it is Satan. That is Satan. Like the moment I started, because I used to follow them, then I
Hmm.
stopped following them because I'm just like, I don't need this negativity in my life. I really don't. And
But
it, and
but do
it's
you really think they do anything worse than TMZ though?
T- TMZ needs to be banned. I don't care, because the moment I realized that TMZ does not care is what they did to Kobe last year.
Mm-hmm.
My heart broke when I found out that they broke the story even before the family got informed.
For how did they do this? What kind of Illuminati? This is why I believe the Illuminati might be real. How do they get this
Right?
information? Yeah, I think that's what I was saying, that there's no integrity in journalism anymore. People don't
Mm,
care
mm,
about how they report about stories, and even in the black community, how people tend to thrive off hating on other people. I
mm.
think it's because as black people, or maybe let me not say that, as people, black people of a certain diaspora,
Yeah, let's say
no,
that.
certain diasporas do not do that. They do not do this stuff. I feel
Yeah.
like we thrive off correcting people, but never helping people. So like
Mm,
everyone's quick to correct someone. No one's ever quick to say, "Are you okay?" So
Exactly.
if
Exactly.
so when people see Glue Girl, right? No
Mm-hmm.
one asked why did she think glue was a good idea? What's going on in her life that that she thought this is a good idea? What's going on in her mind that she went on TikTok and wanted to talk about it? Like
Mm-hmm.
no one ever asks these no one asks these lines of questioning that's actually helpful. That
Exactly.
could actually help other people, right? Not even just black people, like everybody. Because if
Mm-hmm.
they ask these questions, if they were more compassionate, if they were more less agenda driven, I believe you can still make money. I know this is very old school.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you can make money and still have integrity.
I think so too, to be very honest. But one thing that will one thing that will always interest me, like what you said about like people, is that people see things at face value and they forget that people are humans. Because
Mhm,
when I saw Gorilla Grip Girl, I was just like, yeah, it's interesting that you took it to TikTok. But then at the same time,
mhm.
um, are you okay? How
Yeah,
are you feeling? Like, where's your mental state at? Because there were some videos released where she was like crying because that's put like acetone in her hair to try and get it on. Acetone burns, and
dang.
people are out here cracking jokes, laughing. I mean, like, yeah, how you put glue in your hair, but it's still that thing whereby I feel people forget that we're humans and that we can genuinely make mistakes. And that sometimes it's not that we have an agenda, it's not our political view, it has nothing to do with our race or sexuality, or it has nothing to do with that. Sometimes we really be making mistakes out here. And it's the most human thing ever. But people are so quick to forget that we're not perfect. We're not, ABCD. And I feel sometimes the media perpetuates this because with media you get to show people the perfect side of yourself, so to say. You get to show people the side of you that you want them to see. They don't really see you crying at night. They don't see that you have got a mental illness. They don't really see that
Mhm,
you're struggling financially. You don't have a great family. You don't have great friends. You don't have a lot of these different things,
mhm,
because people are so hyper focused on one tiny nitty gritty detail that they forget that people been on this earth for 30 years. They've been on this earth for 10, 15 years. They've been around a while. They've had experiences. They've had their share of traumas. They might have unresolved trauma. And sometimes we're just forced to forget about these things and put on a show for people. And putting on a show isn't easy because you can't sit there and pretend to be something that you're not. You can't sit there and pretend that everything's okay. And I feel that sometimes that's what happens with media. Like even me, sometimes when I think about sometimes I feel like I don't want to pursue a journalism career because yes, I do enjoy writing and I do enjoy like producing my own thing and like trying to interview people and talk to people and share their stories. But I
mhm,
feel like a part of me is that I don't know if I would want to be a part of a business that sometimes directly and deliberately looks over the fact that all of us are still human and that all of us still feel pain. All of us
mhm,
just want to be happy. All of us just want to live a fulfilled life, you know like we were so quick to forget the very basics of what like I feel human existence is. Because I mean, minus whatever is going on right now, deep down inside I feel like one thing everyone wants to be is happy, loved. You have good food on the table, you've got a roof over your head. It might be a mansion, it might be a one-bedroom hut. Who cares? It's your happiness, it's your life. And we're just so quick to forget that with media because media just bombards us with so much information. It's fighting for our attention, it's fighting for our reaction, it's fighting for our clicks and views. Because anything that's free, so for all your listeners, fun fact, anything that's free, so Facebook, Instagram, all of that, if it's free, you're the product.
mhm.
You are the
Tell
product.
them.
You are the
Tell
product.
these cows, bro.
So every time you see an ad, every time something is sponsored or suggested, ad companies are paying for the services that we're using currently. Why do you think YouTube Premium started? So now you're paying to remove the ads, right? So if you're watching the ads, like if you're using free YouTube and you're watching the ads, you're the product because those ad companies are paying for you to watch YouTube. That's how YouTube runs.
Because
So yeah,
I think most people don't realize that most tech companies are broke.
yeah.
Most tech companies are broke. There are very few. Because even Facebook itself is it like in debt,
Mm-hmm.
because like the whole model works on people being on there who pay nothing. And I've heard stories in the grapevine that
Mm.
Twitter is considering having a subscription service.
Oh no.